Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohen, and today I will be reviewing Chaosbound, the 8th book in the Runelords by David Farland. To begin this review, I need to provide some context for the series, the Runelords. The Runelords had a 4-book arc at the beginning of the series, and then afterwards it had another 4-book arc. You could argue that it's a 4-book arc, a standalone, and then a 3-book arc. But take it what it was. It's really 2 overall arcs, the first one and the second one. This is the most recent novel in the second arc that has been released. It is the 8th book overall in the series. It is the most recent in that he has not turned anything in since this book came out in 2009. So it's now been something like over 12 years that he's written the last book. And as the series got on, each book got shorter and shorter and shorter, and then this one he lengthened it just a smidge than the previous one, the previous book being The Wormling Horde. This book, however, is very much different from any of its predecessors. This one follows the characters of Borenson and Marima, who are, if you've read the Runelords series, very popular characters, and they are some of my favorite characters. However, in this, their story is essentially a side quest in the overall arc of the series. The second arc really focused on Gaberns Valorden's son, Falion, and Rihanna and his whole group that has been doing things for the past 3 books in another part of the world. And this catches us back up and focuses exclusively on Borenson, Marima, and their family. And so it just is jarring and just doesn't feel like it fits currently. When the final book, A Tale of Tales, does come out, which I believe it will come out soon because Farland has said he's finished writing it, he just needs to edit it. When that book comes out, I think he'll tie both of the plot lines together, and this won't feel like a side plot, but so far it does. It's a very good side plot, mind you. This is a very excellently written book. It just doesn't fit in the series quite as well. This book follows right in Worldbinder when Falion bound 2 worlds together. You had Borenson combined with another man called Ath Ulber, or I always pronounce it Ath Ulber in my mind, but whatever you want to call it. He combines with this other man who's a brute, who's 7.5, 8 feet tall, who's very wide and muscular and has horns coming out of his head and is much more powerful of a character than Borenson is, who's your, kind of red-haired, tall, but not too tall general guy. And in this, Borenson leads the family during this time of chaos down to try to get them to Falion to try to help Falion save the world. And they have many, many misadventures during this time. My biggest problem with this book, other than the fact that it felt like a side quest, was that Marima just felt off. As soon as Borenson combined with Ath Ulber, she just was ready to be done with him. And her reasons were actually noble, but I very much was frustrated with them, and I did not like her reasons. At the same time, some of the storylines did work really well surrounding them, particularly the action. This is a very fast-paced book. It's a very action-based book, more than even The Wormling Horde was, or even Worldbinder to that degree, but it was a very excellent action-based book, and some of the fight scenes were fun to read. One thing is, this cover for the cover for this book was not done by Daryl K. Sweet, and so it looks kind of different than the other books in the series, but it kind of fits because this is a very crucial point in the book, and it's very, very impactful, and I think a very good choice to use here. I still think that Daryl K. Sweet is a better artist than the person who did this, but it's still a good piece of artwork nonetheless. This book also has the villain from some of the previous books, Cruel Mador. There really needs to be a pronunciation guide at the back of these books. Anyway, that's one of the Wormling leaders who works for Despair, and
They were an interesting, fine villain. He never achieved the Rajatan level of villainy that Farland never reached that level that he did in the first 4 books. The second 4 books, it's just not working for him, the villains. But still, it's a fun read. There's lots of fun scenes, particularly surrounding the best parts of the book. For me, as I love romances and sappy romances, was between Draken and Rain. And it's kind of I'm from this world and you're from this world and we can't really work together, but we do anyway. And so they fall in love, and Borenson doesn't really want the marriage to happen, and Marima is also very hesitant about it, and yet they still want to marry and fall in love. And there's also some great themes about abstinence in this book, which I really liked. And there's also some great themes about staying with your spouse, which, even though I said I didn't like having to read those portions of the book, I think that his themes are good at the end. This book, however, is just so dark in so many moments and so sad. This book has a lot of plot and cosmetic similarities to a previous book in the series, Wizardborn, which was one of the best books in the series. There's a lot of similarities, and I'd have to give it into spoiler reasons why. But this book seems so much more hopeful, and I think is so much better in those regards, whereas Chaosbound is just so sad and depressing, and I feel that Chaosbound just tries to rehash some of the same ideas in a worse way, particularly the ending, which frustrated me. This book ending really makes me want to get the final book in the series to see if Farland reverses himself or whether he keeps the ending the way it is. But nonetheless, as I said, there are things that I really liked in the book, and there's also things... Yeah, I'll be fine. There's also things I really didn't like in the book, and so it kind of evens out for me. It's still better than Sons of the Oak, in my opinion, and even, I think, a little bit better than the Wormling Horde, but it certainly does not reach the heights that the previous books in the series do. So I'm going to have to give this book about a 7.3 out of 10. It's a pretty entertaining book, and I'm super happy I read it. This is one of my favorite fantasy series, but it's not the best in the series. So, if you've read this book, let me know what you think. If you're interested in fantasy, where to start, I can help. I've read a lot of it. If you have an idea of a book you think I should read for fantasy, I'd love to hear it. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the channel with your friends. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.